Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. We recently just got this YesWelder 205DS at the shop, so today we're going to see what it can do. Now right off the bat, you'll notice this welder is actually pretty small, which is really nice. You can keep it on a cart if you'd like and cart it around the shop where it needs to be, or you can make it a little more portable and carry it around and put it on a shelf when you're done with it. It's actually probably half to 3/4 of the width of a standard 135 welder, about the same length, but it's also significantly lighter in my opinion, so that's very cool. It also has this really nice protective shield on the control panel area, and we'll get to this control panel later, but there's a lot of options here and it's very nice. So as you can see, this is a 110 unit, but it also includes a 110 to 220 adapter, so you can use it on a 220 system, get a little more oomph out of your welding. If you have to do thicker things like, plate steel and frames and all that, this will be able to handle that too, it seems. Now this unit is also multi-process. Obviously you can do regular MIG welding with it, and you can do flux core, not MIG with it, but you can also switch these around and do stick or TIG with it. Now stick, obviously pretty simple. Doing TIG with it though, you're not going to be able to use a foot pedal, it's going to be scratch start, so take that as it will. Now it's pretty simple to set up too. These just spin in, pretty standard. That's a standard thing. So you can switch it around for MIG versus TIG and flux core, and this just unscrews out of there too. Now it also comes with the big wire roll holder, so you can put your 10-pounder on there. I like rolls that big, that way you don't have to go to the welding stores often, and you get to do a lot more welding. Now back to this control board. I really like it's got this plastic cover on it so it doesn't get hit by any weld splatter or any of that, any shop debris. It's a little hard to film because of the way the display is picked up by the camera, but I can try to explain it the best I can. So, right here's your selector dial. This is where this welder is a bit different than most. It's got a single dial. Most welders normally have 2 or 3 on there. But we've got this here. This is a gas button, and this button that kind of looks like an 8 with a line through it. The gas, test the gas. Yep, there's gas going through the machine. Then this button here is so you can feed your wire without wasting gas. So if you put a new roll in, you hold that wire down, and it feeds the wire through the machine without wasting any of your gas. I very much enjoy that. Here's where you're selecting what you're using. You got your 023, 030, and 035 wires, respectively. You just press that, and it changes settings based on what wire you're using for you automatically, which is nice. Now this button here changes what kind of gas mix you got. This one right now is set to 2575 C25 gas, obviously, but you can go to stick welding, and it's changing the settings immediately. Scratch TIG welding, went back down. Gasless welding, straight CO2. We'll put it back on C25 for us. Now this button, 2T, 4T, that's going to let you go between letting the machine do most of the work and you doing most of the work, so we're going to leave it on 2T. But here on our display, you see we got amps, thickness, volts, and inductance. I'm still trying to figure out what inductance is. It appears to be some sort of electrical thing that the welder does that makes the welds look a little better, whatever. But right here on amps, it's on 58 right now, but you can change that, and you can see it changes the volts to go with the amps, so that's nice. You hit this button here, it's like a little return arrow, change the thickness of the metal. Right now we have it on 1, and remember the amps are on 58. If we go to 0.7, see the volts changed, and now the amps have gone down too. So this welder really kind of sets everything up for you. We'll go back to 1. Now if we go to volts, mine's on 6 because you're adjusting it, so it's automatically 10 normally. So now you see it's going up to 19.6. I had this welder adjusted to where I liked it, so I had it on 6, and it's back to 18. And then the inductance, you can change that too. Like I said, I don't really understand that part, but you can change your amps and you can fine tune it in. It's basically what you're doing. But it's really nice, very in-depth what you can do with this. Lots of options. course. So now, let's get some sheet steel and we'll do some welding tests. Alright guys, so now we're going to be testing out the YesWelder. We've got some body steel here, it's about 20 gauge, maybe 22. We're going to hit it with some 80 grit and then cut it into sections so that we can try out different techniques on it. Let me just hit it up with this 80 grit. Alright guys, we're going to start off pretty simple with a butt weld. We got these pieces cleaned and next to each other. See what happens. It's not terrible. That's way more heat than you would ever put into a panel like that. We'll put a glove on to pick it up. It looks like it's got good penetration. Those are fine welds, I think. They're very, very flat. Blew through in one spot, but that's my fault because, you know, I was putting so much heat into the panel. But that's not bad. Let's try a different type of weld now. Let's do a common lap joint. Now, just to let you know, the settings I have this on are 58 amps, 19.6 volts, 1 mil thickness, a 10 and a 10, whatever those are. Let's go for a common lap joint. Tacks don't look bad. The little supplied brush here. You can see the welds, penetration on the backside. Little spatter. I'm still learning the settings this machine has. This machine has a lot of settings compared to like a standard Miller 135 like I have, or an Eastwood 135 like a lot of people have. And now guys, for our final test, we're going to do a couple of plug welds. Now I've been messing with this machine a little bit, toning in the settings, and I'm slowly figuring out what all of them do. You can mess with the voltage I found now. I still don't quite understand what inductance is, but it seems the higher it is, the better the welds look in my opinion. So we'll leave it at that. So now let's do, we've got 3 holes drilled. We're going to do this one first and move across. Okay. And there we go. You can already see one of those wasn't the best because it wasn't tight enough. I thought I had those panels pretty flat. Guess not. But here they are. First, second, third. They all look pretty nice to me. Penetration wise, they're not terrible. I see nothing wrong with this welder. Does a very nice job. Look how flat those welds are. Don't look at that one because that one's the one that I didn't like. But look how flat those welds are. You can hardly see them. Not much grinding you'll have to do. Very, very nice. Alright guys, so what's my take on the YesWelder 205DS? I really like it. It does very well. As you can see by the test, it performed very well doing butt welds, plug welds, and lap welds. The 3 standard things I would expect in an auto restoration or an auto body shop. So it performed very well there. I really enjoy. It comes with this 220 conversion. If you have the option to use 220, it's always nice to be able to use it. Now, most welders you get, you can only use 110 or 220, so having the option to do both is very, very nice. I also really enjoy that you can flip this cover up, set the metal thickness, and it does everything else for you. You don't have to adjust things individually. You can, and I did, to get it to weld as I like to weld. Like I said, I weld a little hot, so it burns in quicker, but some people weld right off the machine settings, and that'll do that for you. And if you want to just set it and forget it, you'll get a very good weld just off of what the machine thinks it needs to do. So guys, I think this is the welder we'll be using on the 63 ragtop, so stick around later for more of that. We'll be using this machine on all the panels on that thing, I believe, because this is a very, very nice machine, right up there with all the top line brands like Miller, Lincoln, and Hobart, in my opinion. So, until next time guys, if you're considering a welder, make sure to put this on your list, and I will see you later. Take care guys.